Hi class! So today we're finally going to get to these gross looking equations that seem really scary just because they have fractions in them. But really we're going to learn a technique called fraction busters, which we're going to try to create a situation in which we can cancel out those denominators so that we don't have to work with fractions. So first example. Not so bad. We have a denominator of 3 here, and we have a denominator of 2 on both of these. So we want to multiply the entire equation by 3 first, and then 2 second. Or we could multiply it through one time by 6. Because a factor of 6 contains a factor of 3 and a factor of 2, which would allow both the 3's and the 2's to be canceled out at the same time. So I'm going to show you both ways, hopefully. So first let's just do the factor of 3 so that you can see what I mean by multiplying everything through by 3. So obviously 3 as a fraction is 3 over 1. And we're going to be distributing this to every single term in the equation. So that's going to give us 5x times 3 over 3 plus 15 times 3 over 2 equals 5 times 3 over 2. So this is the really long way because I want you to see the theory behind this. So basically what we did was we just added a 3 to every numerator, a factor of 3. We did not do a conversion of the fraction like we do when we take the top and bottom and multiply the same thing. And that's because instead of converting the fractions, we're converting an equation. So we're scaling an equation all by 3. So then that 3 cancels out with that factor of 3 in this fraction right here. But these 2's, they're not going to reduce at this point. So then we would just do it again. But first we're going to simplify this. So now this first term is just a 5x plus 15 times 3 in the top is 45. So then we have 45 over 2. And then we have equals 15 over 2 because of the 5 times 3. It's a little out of focus. So now we want to multiply that entire equation by 2. And again, it would be 2 over 1. So we're just going to multiply 2 times the first thing, 2 times the second thing, and 2 times even the thing on the other side of the equals. That term still gets multiplied by 2. So then we have 2 times 5x, so we have 10x, plus 45 times 2 over 2 equals 15 times 2 over 2. Again, this is the super long way. So these 2's can cross out, and these 2's can cross out. So essentially, over here you can just think of this times 2 crossing out this denominator and just giving you your 45 back. And this 2 crossing out this dividing by 2 and just giving you the 15 back. So we have a real nice equation, just 10x plus 45 equals 15, which can be solved by subtracting the 45 over. So we have 10x equals negative 30. So dividing by 10 gives us x equals negative 3. So above, let's redo this one more time, and let's do it just multiplying everything by 6 so that we don't have to do it twice, and see if you like that way better. So we have 5x over 3 plus 15 over 2 equals 5 over 2. So to save time, this time, instead of multiplying through by 3 and then by 2, we're just going to multiply through by 6. So, I'm also going to show you how we can cancel the denominators here. So, this 6 is going to cancel out with that 3 to just create a 2. So you can imagine this first term is going to become 5x times a 2. And then 6 times 15 halves. The 6 and the 2 are going to reduce to a 3, because 6 divided by 2. So it'll just be plus 15 times 3. And then here again, a 6 times 5 halves. The 6 on the top and the 2 would reduce to a whole number of 3, so it's going to be a 5 times a 3. So then we have 10x plus 45 equals 15. So a much quicker way of arriving at the same equation. Let's try this one. We only have one denominator that needs to be canceled out, but it's an x, so I bet you can guess where this is going. The whole equation, we're going to multiply it through by an x. So, an x times a 5 over x. Okay, if I write this out, it would be 5 times x over x. So these x's just cancel each other out, and we just have a 5. Then we have minus an x times a negative 2x. So minus 2x squared, whoops, squared, and equals x times 3. So 3x. So this is a little messy, but basically it's just 5 minus 2x squared equals 3x, which is a quadratic. So at this point, you should pause the video and solve this quadratic by yourself. And then unpause the video when you're done to see if you do the right steps. So I'm going to go fast. I'm going to flip this over so that I have a positive x squared term, and I'm going to flip the 5. So I'm going to have 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 equals 0, which I believe factors. What multiplies to negative 10 and adds to 3? 5, negative 2. But because of my 2 in front of the x squared, I need to use a box to get my factors. So, 2x squared, negative 5, fill in with my 5x and my negative 2x, unbox it. So factors, 2x plus 5, x minus 1, and those factors equal 0, so it's time to do the ZPP. So 2x plus 5 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. Flip the 5 to negative and divide by 2, so x equals negative 5 over 2, and x equals positive 1. Hopefully you got that. Okay, last one. Ooh. This is a quadratic that needs to be factored so that we can know what we need to multiply through by. So we're going to factor this, and it's just going to come out the proper way because it only has a 1 here. So what multiplies to negative 8 and adds to a positive 2? A negative 2 and a positive 4. So that means my factors are p minus 2 and p plus 4. Which means I can simplify this fraction right here before I even start solving it, which is going to make the solving process much faster. So 4 plus p, that whole factor, is the same as p plus 4. So now I am simply looking at, do you remember when the whole top cancels what you put in place? Hopefully 1, you remembered. 1 over p minus 2 plus 3 equals 4 over p minus 2. And we have only one denominator here, just a denominator of p minus 2. So to start canceling out the denominators, I can multiply the whole thing through by p minus 2. So I multiply this times that, which gives me p minus 2 over p minus 2, which is just 1. Let me know if you have questions about that. Write them down, bring them to class. So then we just did that multiplication. Now we're multiplying p minus 2 times 3. So there's no denominator, so it's just 3 times the factor p minus 2, which we'll simplify that in just a second. And then equals. So here again, if I multiply p minus 2 times 4 over p minus 2, the p minus 2 that's adding to the top, that's getting added as a factor to the top, will cancel out that, and so I'm just going to end up with 4. And then we use the distributive property to simplify this, rewriting it as 3p minus 6 equals 4. The 1 and the negative 6 combine on this side for a negative 5 equals 4. Flip the 5, and you get 3p equals 9. Divide by 3, and you get p equals 3. Not so bad. So this is going to be something you're going to need to practice to get used to the idea of distributing a number to every term of an equation so that we cancel out the denominators. But it works out pretty nicely. So make sure to rewatch the video if you're still feeling a little unsure, and write down your questions to ask me in class.